Welcome to Stoner Watch. This is my open spoiler discussion for Marvel Studios' Eternals. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button and click on that bell so you can notify for future videos. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And yes, I went to the theaters and watched Marvel Studios' Eternals, and I gotta say, this movie is pretty damn good. Now, I'm not gonna say this is my top favorite MCU movie, but it's definitely not at the bottom either. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not really sure where this one actually ranks out of the 26 MCU movies that we've gotten over the years. I thought that the cinematography for this movie was pretty good. I mean, it looked gorgeous on the screen. I'm so glad I saw this, at least for the first time, on the big screen. This is definitely one of those movies that you have to see on the big screen to get the whole entire scope of everything. Now, I am not really all that familiar with the Eternals comic book lore, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I don't even remember if I even read an Eternals comic book back in the day. So, I don't know. All I know is all these characters were in this movie. I'm like, I know nothing about these characters whatsoever, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. I mean, it looked good. The score was awesome. I mean, they set up a lot of stuff. Now, just so you know, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is an open spoiler discussion video. I probably won't get too heavy into spoilers because I'm going to have to go see that movie again because there's going to be certain parts in that movie that I don't remember. Name of the show. I mean, it was good. I definitely have to go see that movie again because there's some things about that movie that has me a little bit confused. So I'm going to go probably check out the, things that you missed in the breakdown videos like everybody else does. And then I'm going to go back and check it out again. Eternals is a 2021 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics race of the same name. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures. It is the 26th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film was directed by Chloé Zhao, who wrote the screenplay with Patrick Burleigh and brothers Ryan and Kaz Firpo. In the film, the Eternals, an immortal alien race, emerge from hiding after thousands of years to protect Earth from their evil counterparts, the Deviants. In April of 2018, Marvel Studio president Kevin Feige announced that the film based on the Eternals had begun production, with Ryan and Kaz Firpo hired to write the script in May. Zhao was set to direct the film in late September and was given significant creative freedom with the film, which resulted in filming on location more than previous MCU films. Zhao rewrote the script. Burleigh was later reported to have also contributed. Principal photography took place in July of 2019 to February of 2020 at Pinewood Studios, as well as on location in London and Oxford, England, and in the Canary Islands. Eternals premiered in Los Angeles on October 18th of 2021 and was released theatrically in the United States on November 5th as part of the Phase 4 of the MCU. The film received mixed reviews, with the critics praising its theme and visuals, but criticizing its exposition, pacing, runtime, and the lack of character development. Starring in this movie, you have Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Selma Hayek, Kit Harington, Camille Nanjiani, Leah McHugh, Brian Tyree Henry, Lauren Ridloff, Barry Keoghan, Don Lee, and Harish Patel, just to name a few. Currently, Eternals is sitting with a Rotten Tomato score which started off in the 60s originally when this thing was released, but now it's sitting at a 48%. So the critics are not really liking this movie. I mean, it started off pretty good and it just dropped to like 48, which is like the lowest MCU score ever. Of all the MC movies, out of 26, this is the lowest one. Now, I'm not sure exactly what they did not like about this movie, because I like this movie. Even though there were certain parts on this movie I was very confused, but I was contributing it to more so because I wasn't familiar with the comic book lore, which this is based on. So, I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to go back and actually read some of their reviews to see what they did not like. But over on the audience side, it's a totally different situation. We're sitting with a score of 81%. So, I mean, this was a good movie, even though there were certain sections that was kind of hard to understand if you don't know the comic book lore. And I guess there was a couple spots that had some kind of pacing issues just a little bit. I mean, they could have cut this movie down maybe just a little bit. I mean, it was like over 2.5 hours long. I mean, my show started at 10 o'clock, and with the trailers and the commercials and everything else, I got out of the theater at 1. 3 hours later. Now, I'm not really sure exactly how much trailers and commercials that we actually have, close to a half hour maybe. I mean, I don't know. And there was 3, count them, 3 shut your phone off announcements. There was one that was like a Amazon Prime theme, and there was another one that was straight from the theater itself, and we got another MCU shut your phone off announcement. This time it was all wrapped around a Eternals like type trailer, which I thought that was kind of neat, because now this is 3 times in a row that the MCU has done this. Now, I don't know if any of you people have actually seen these things. Let me know in the comments down below if you were seeing these same shut your phone off type trailers in your theaters, because I have not been able to find this thing anywhere on the internet to actually show you what I'm talking about if you have not seen this. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Credit scenes. We have our one credit scene where it pretty much shows and it kind of sets up like Eternals 2 as far as I'm concerned. We have Harry Styles shows up to play Star Fox, aka Eros, aka Thanos' brother. Now, I don't know nothing about this character. I kind of remember this guy from back in the day, but that's like a kind of thing. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, it definitely sets up a Eternals 2 with that credit scene. So that is what it is. And now with the second post-credit scene, the one that happens at the very end of the credits. I mean, you had to wait to the end of the credits for this thing to show up. We get a scene with Kit Harington, and he has this case thing, and it looks like it's like setting him up to be the Black Knight. Now, again, that's another character I know nothing about, but I'm like, okay. I mean, I recognized the symbol, and I understood what it meant. And when he opened up the case and he went to go grab the sword, there was this really deep voice saying, "You sure you want to do that?" I'm like, who the hell is that? And then it stops right there. They didn't show anything or anything. That was pretty much it. I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. And as I'm walking out of the theater, one of the usher kids is like, nobody recognizes the voice of Mahershala Ali. And I'm like, no. And like the one girl's like, no, I'm not a comic book nerd. I didn't really go, don't feel bad, because I didn't know who the hell that was either, you know? And we were talking about it for a few minutes, and I'm like, is that who that was? And the kid goes like, yeah, that's who it is. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I didn't know who it was, because I don't think I've ever seen that guy in anything. And he is a really, really deep voice. So whenever James Earl Jones goes, and I know it's going to be a really sad day in Star Wars fandom, you know what I'm saying? This guy could take his place. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that right now. He's got that deep Darth Vader-like type voice. So overall, I gotta say, I did like this movie quite a bit, but I think I heard someone say the other day that the villains in this movie weren't all that good, and I think I kind of have to agree with them just a little bit, because at the beginning of this movie, the Deviants seemed like they were something to be feared, something that they had to worry about, and then we find out halfway through the movie, the Celestial guy actually made the Deviants so it would give like the Eternal somebody to fight, and somehow or another it was going to help them, like had this other Celestial emerge out of the earth and stuff like that. And I gotta have to admit, when they said the name of the Celestial that was in the earth, Tiamat, every time they said that name, I just thought of Tiamat the dragon from Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it took me out of the movie every time I heard it, but when I heard the name Tiamat, that's like the first thing that popped in my head every single time. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, I do have to say, I thought the time jumps in this movie were a little jarring here and there throughout this whole entire movie as they went back and forth, but they were trying to explain 7,000 worth of years of history for these characters, right? And I thought it was hilarious with the Camille Nanjiani guy, where he was like the actor of the group, like he was portraying that his family had all these actors throughout history, when it was him, when you found out that they couldn't age and everything. And it kind of made that when he was pointing out that was my great grandfather and not father, that was kind of funny. That was like one of my favorite parts of this movie. And I have to say that I think that this Harris Patel guy in this movie is going to go somewhere, because I mean, he was awesome in this movie. I mean, he was funny. He had heart. I was so glad to see that he made it through this whole entire movie with nothing else happening to him whatsoever. And he always had a camera. He was always filming something. I mean, it was pretty damn funny. I mean, that was another one of my favorite parts of this movie. So I don't know, man, with a budget of $200 million, and as of right now, a total box office of $161.7 million. So we're well on our way of probably getting enough money to make a sequel. Whether or not if we're actually going to get a sequel, I'd have to say most likely. I mean, they set up so much more for this later on down the road. It'd be really disappointing if there wasn't a sequel to this movie, especially with all the story points that they've got so far in this movie. So I don't know, man. Did you watch Eternals in the theater? Let me know in the comments down below. Where does this rank with you with the rest of the MCU? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know where this one ranks with the rest of the MCU, but with the 3 MCU movies that we got this year, I have to say my favorite one out of all 3 is Shang-Chi, hands down. I mean, hands down, that's my favorite MCU movie of this year. So let me know what you think in the comments down below.